Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment.
And welcome to the most recent Mike O'Mara Show Extra. Listen, of all the extras, this is certainly the most recent. And I'm here with Josh. We're announcing it's an Orioles podcast about movies, and we're calling it Hicks, Nicks, Sticks 336.
Well, yes, and that's the thing. People thought the extras were going away with Hicks, Nicks. They're not. We're still going to squeeze them in here.
Exactly.
And you know what? Next week on Hicks, Nicks is Rosemary's Baby, and that does have the guy from Baltimore.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all ties in. It's all a big circle.
And folks, I know that you know Josh, and I thought he would be anti-scary movie, but he's okay with it. But he's the only person I know that watched Rosemary's Baby at 8 a.m. on a Friday.
Hey, I was going to keep that a secret. But yes, all the lights were turned on. We'll get to it next week on Hicks Nicks, but not as demonic as I expected.
No, you know what's good about
witches,
it?
not demons.
Yeah, it's and it's subtle. It's not like in your face like a 1980s horror movie.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll get into it. I'm just excited to talk to him about it. This is an extra that is essentially behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, this is what we planned on doing this a few weeks ago.
And I got COVID.
Yes, and you got COVID. And then we said, Mike had to miss a show. And we said, all right, we'll just do it on the regular show. And we got completely side-railed and sidetracked.
By the way, besides
Derailed.
the clicking on that sidetrack show,
Yes.
that was one of the funnest shows we ever did.
It was a great show.
We started out someplace that we had no idea where we were headed, and we did all that content. And like 60 minutes in, we said, well, I guess we're not doing behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So here we are to make good on the promise.
We
folks.
are. And this is also a first test run of the new internet in Leesburg.
Precisely. I would do what, when we first put Mike in Florida and we were still in Georgetown, I don't know if I even have this in the archives. We did a fake open with all of us talking over each other and long periods of silence to show that the internet was off.
I don't like that. But here's what I do like. Rob, by Monday, can you get a nice pop-in static sound effect?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So just, we talk pre-show. We roll into the show. Then immediately you start screwing up.
And also what would be
It's going
great,
to frustrate him.
claim you don't hear it.
All right. We'll say I don't hear it. Hey, because you know why?
Why?
Mike won't hear this.
That's true.
The listeners will. We'll put this out before Monday.
This is absolutely like
along.
It's like we're being put in hiding, what do they call that? A witness protection. They've changed our names and they've put us on the internet where Mike will never find us.
Right.
So no clicking so far, I'm guessing.
No clicking. Sounds beautiful.
Love it. All right.
Video looks good. We're all set.
So I would say that when we prepare an episode of TMOS, which is probably not terribly unlike most podcasts, if they prepare, that is, we all have our separate little angles that we do. But I would say most of the tech or structure stuff flows through Josh. And especially since Josh sort of reorganized and reinvented the way this show looked, now like almost a year and a half ago, that would be April of 24. He's really made the show look and sound as good as it ever has. So I'm going to let Josh drive today and talk about some of the technical and stuff that he does, and I will pepper it with really feeble attempts to make it look like I do anything.
Yeah, well, the big thing we made, the big change we made in April is moving you guys to StreamYard, and I guess moving me to StreamYard as well. I was already here. I just brought you guys along.
And we were on Riverside before.
Right.
Okay.
So we used StreamYard. I use StreamYard for almost every podcast I work on, produce. If I bring in a new client, I put them in StreamYard because it's just rock solid.
And
if you have stable internet.
Okay, I caught your subtle shade there. Yeah. It is. It also has a lot of bells and whistles, and it's financially feasible. I mean, if we're really going to be behind the scenes, that's one of the reasons why we love it.
It really is. It's affordable when a lot of their competitors are very expensive.
Again, the aforementioned, Riverside. You can get a simple one-on-one Riverside account, but if you start looking to like a business or any sort of elevated,
I looked at Riverside.
Ridiculous.
I looked at Riverside 2 weeks ago, just as an experiment because of the pop-in issue we were having, in case it was StreamYard. And they would not even quote me a price for just the number of hours I needed for the Mike O'Mara show without a virtual one-on-one meeting which means they're going to charge too much.
And not only that, once you get any sort of account, they are tight like Scrooge about handing out accounts within that account, like users. And so, I mean, I've worked at places where you have to pretend to be other people to use it because they're only giving you 5 subscriptions.
Right.
So in any case, all I'm saying is that StreamYard has not dealt us wrong ever. That's a good
Riverside's
outfit.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It's just not what I recommend for people starting podcasts. And that's kind of how I'm viewing this show is, hey, if you're considering a podcast, if you do one with friends, here's kind of how we do it.
What about Zoom? Zoom is free. What do you feel about Zoom?
Zoom has gotten better. Zoom has gotten better over the years, but you have to pay for the higher tier Zoom to get separate audio recordings and everything. So I do not recommend Zoom. I was editing a podcast last week that was recorded on Zoom, and I had all types of issues syncing people up and dealing with the video. So do not use Zoom. Zoom is great for business meetings where you need AI to take notes that don't make any sense.
I do remember when, actually, we used to do so much stuff on Skype, which stopped, right? You don't do Skype.
Skype is gone. It's now Microsoft Teams.
Which is, I'm sure, as good as Skype ever was. But when we started recording stuff virtually during the pandemic and we were still using Zoom, it was a nightmare because when people would stop and leave and come back in, they would start on a new track at 0.
Yes.
So if you had an interview, which would be common, of a host and 3 guests, and you're trying to sync up 4 hunks of broken video, that's 2 days right there. And what I love about StreamYard is that no matter if you come or go or if you have any sort of flaky internet, the audio still syncs.
Yeah,
it always does.
What I'll share about StreamYard is my favorite feature that they rolled out not too long ago is the export feature for any recording, where it exports it. So it exports a file after everyone's uploaded. Mm-hmm. It exports a file of everyone in individual tracks in a file that's made for Adobe or for Final Cut Pro if you're using that for video editing. And you can use it in Adobe Premiere or Adobe Audition, which is what we use for editing. And what that does is when you open up that file, it lists every one of us, me, Mike, and Rob, and every sound clip, well, not sound, but every video clip that's been played on the show as a separate track for audio and video editing.
And they're in order.
And they're timed right. Everything's perfect.
The thing I love about that feature is that when you're on the separate tracks like that, it makes it so easy to match up audio levels. When we import stuff, say for the beautiful video segment, there's a small window that you can control on the audio. If the audio is quiet and it's turned all the way up, that's it. But in post-production, you can boost it, and I love that. Or if someone is too loud in the mix, something like that.
So when I take the show and put it in Audition, even if I open it up in Premiere, I then go and say, open the audio in Audition. Mm-hmm. Because the first thing I do in Audition is I grab all the files and I put them in match loudness.
Oh, yeah.
And I set the dB, and now they're all set to the same level. So I've got a great starting point.
That's something that people should know, that we do the Mike O'Mara show, as we're doing this show, pretty much live to tape, like Letterman or Johnny Carson used to do. So we have to get it right the first time. And because of that, if levels don't match due to sloppy board work, I don't know who that would be. But if they don't match, we can fix it before it hits your ears.
Now, I'll tell you, if you're watching the Mike O'Mara show on YouTube, that is us doing it live.
Exactly. There's no magic.
There's no matching. The bonus show, there's more work put into the bonus show. But for the regular daily show, we want to get that out there as soon as possible. Because we stream it live, we leave the live broadcast up there for you guys so the comments stay and all that. So you guys stick with it. So we work really hard to make sure our volume levels match.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, it's rare that I do anything when I download except trim the front and the back and then post it. I mean, it usually sounds pretty right.
If anything, it's some of the video clips adjusting the sound. Mm-hmm.
So yay, as my father would say, yay for StreamYard.
Yes, go with StreamYard. And again, reach out to me if you need help or want an actual detailed training on StreamYard. I can do all that.
Love it. All
right, I thought we could talk about kind of some of our layouts. Before we even get in there, I guess before we even hit record or go live on the Mike O'Mara show, we do have a quick pre-show meeting where we talk about topics and all, but very rough meeting where we give little teasers to each other so we don't know what's coming up.
Exactly. It's one of the trickiest things about working with Mike is when we're presenting topics is to give him enough but not too much.
Yes.
You have to prove that it's valid enough for the program, but you don't want to reveal if you have, like, example this week with me and the magnet and the ratchet. I told him I had a handyman experience that went wrong. And that's usually enough to get there. Yes. But he didn't know it was an antenna. He didn't know it involved ladders and magnets and all that stuff. So when we start the show, as a rule, and there's always, room for straying from this, we like to have a list of about 10 topics that we can get to. Now, we know that within the show, there's going to be a pre-written news segment. There's going to be beautiful video at the end. So that essentially leaves us with 3 segments that we need to fill with stuff on the fly. Well, not on the fly, but stuff for the 3 of us.
Right.
And if we have 10 things, then we can choose from the best shows are the ones when we don't get to any of the things on the list.
Right.
And we've done that.
And we just roll it over to the next day. Or we start with one thing, get completely derailed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it's nice. I like to think of it, and I'm glad Mike's not listening because he would never let me hear the end of this. But my theory about it is not unlike jazz music, is that you have to have a structure within it, but then you have the ingredients that can bounce around within the structure. For example, in jazz, if you have a steady beat, the melody can go everywhere. Or if you have a steady melody, the beat can go anywhere. But if they're both going anywhere, it's nonsense. Well, so we have a structure that keeps us sort of in line, and then we can bounce around within it, which I love because we're coming from a radio background. The show has definitely got its feet in radio with, sort of even prescribed times for stopping and starting and all that stuff, which is not common. It gives us great comfort because we came from it.
And people who are podcast people don't sometimes understand why we take breaks and why we do the layout.
Right.
And it's that structure for radio that really we want to stick in there to have that steady format. And
it brings Mike and I don't know about you, but it brings Mike and me great comfort because we know we've got like targets to hit. And also, if you have a totally open-ended sort of broadcast, sure, it can be fun, it can be funny, but also you don't know when you're chasing something you're not going to get.
Well, the problem I have with open-ended podcasts is it always 100% ends on a whimper.
Saturday Night Live theory. They can have the greatest sketch, but without an ending, it really leaves you hanging.
Where it's like the structure means we're ending. Yeah. Even though we could have talked about this for another 15 more minutes. Exactly. We're not dragging anything out.
Yeah. So you get the juice out of the apple and then you move on. So, or cider, depends on what you prefer.
Now, we don't have structure format for this episode, so it might end on a whimper. We'll see.
I think it started with one.
Maybe so.
Okay.
Maybe so. So we do that show meet and then we roll into it. And really, I figure why don't we back up and start with some of the equipment we use? And I did tell you that I finally cleaned off my desk this week, which meant I could show a picture of it.
This is not fair because I keep a very tidy desk, but with my internet install yesterday, everything's everywhere. So my picture is going to have to be post-dated like most of my checks that I sent.
Right. Well, here's my picture that I took 5 minutes before we hit record.
That, you know what? That is a beautiful desk. The wood is beautiful. Where did you get that?
Temu.
Seriously?
No, it's not. It's not a Temu, but it's like Wayfair or something. It's one of those internet sites.
From the way you shot it, Josh, it looks beautiful. It looks antique-y.
Well, it's one of those standing desks where it goes up and down, so it's just thin particle board. Okay. But it looks good.
It does look good.
It looks better in picture than in person.
Okay. So this is where you sit where that open part is.
Yeah.
And I guess we can put you in sort of perspective with your keyboard because it's right in front of you. I'm surprised your Orioles coasters are to your left. Don't you drink right-handed?
Well, right now my coaster is here to the right.
Okay, you moved it. You set it for the. What do they call it when you sell a house? You've set it. You know what
I did? You can tell on this picture exactly what I did.
What?
My Red Bull's there in the middle without a coaster. So all I did was move the coaster under it. That's what I did when I sat down. I said, "Oh, I'm not under a coaster."
Very good. I love it. So walk me through. You've got 2 monitors.
Yeah. So I've got 2 monitors, and the way I do the show is on the left-hand monitor is StreamYard, and it's a nice large screen, so I can see you and Mike, nice and big.
Right.
And then on the right-hand monitor is normally I've got a few things. I've got in the bottom right is an app called Downy. That's what we use, and you use it as well for all our video downloading.
And it essentially converts any video that you find online. You take the URL and it makes it downloaded and available to play on our show.
Right, right. So I keep that. That is always open in the bottom corner during the show. You can see up there in the right corner is just my notes app, and that keeps. That's just I have a file called TMOS, and in that file is the private addresses that we need for the commercial free, the bonus free.
Okay.
The instructions for teaching someone how to add the podcast to Apple Podcasts. It's got everyone's mailing addresses. So when I got to send it to sponsors, and it's got some stats on social media stats for the show.
When you say everyone's mailing addresses, you just mean us three, not like everyone who listens to the show. No,
I mean the host mailing address.
So you're okay, Tony Lamb. We're not going to come find you and make you buy a cookbook. I promise. I promise.
Well, I'm sure he already has. But it's got everything that, like quick emails that I need this information all the time. I keep it all in that notes app. I keep it always open in the corner.
So you just cut and paste when you need it.
Right. And then that empty space between Downey and my notes app is where I put a browser with the commercial breaks. So I can glance over there and I show one commercial at a time. So I see, Relief Band's coming up next. Right. Then it's Soul. And I just scroll through that as we go.
Okay. I love it.
Then I keep a browser open.
Does it make you crazy that your monitors are different sizes?
Yeah, it does.
I would say that you should probably match one up.
Well, I probably need to slide some pennies under one of them. I had two. You know how it goes. You buy two of the same brand
and they're
monitors,
different.
And then one breaks. Oh. And it's like, I don't want to replace two. It's like going to the car dealership where they say, you really need to buy all four.
All four tires,
and it's
exactly.
like, I can only afford one right now.
Well, I'll try to keep my OCD out of this because the only thing I've commented about your setup so far is the coaster placement and the size of the monitors.
Yes.
And by the way, those are minor concerns when you're doing a podcast.
And I'll tell you, it's about the monitors are the same size, but the right-hand monitor is about in 3/4 of an inch taller.
That would make me nuts, but I will put away that demon for now.
No, okay. It's annoying. I've gotten past it, and Mac does a really good job where I don't feel it when I'm moving the mouse or anything.
Good.
Then I always keep a browser open.
You have them. I'm sorry to interrupt. So you have the mouse that can go to either side of the monitor.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
Okay. Cool.
So then I keep a browser open that has all the anything I need to pull up. Whatever Mike's talking about to find a picture, find a news. You guys always say I do it so fast. It's because I keep a browser open right here.
Well,
I'm always ready to go.
You are wickedly fast. I've worked with a lot of people, and you're the fastest. And I have to guess it's because when we start talking about something, you're already looking for it, right?
Yeah. As soon as it starts, as soon as I say, that would be interesting or something. Yeah, I go looking for it, and if the time breaks, then it finds it. Then the last thing I keep on that window is the Apple messages. So if we need to text each other or anything during the show, I've got that right there.
SMS messaging, Josh.
Yes.
Okay. So that we do that within the program. Yeah.
Yes, but I believe SMS is gone unless you're an Android person.
I'm not an Android person.
They call it something else now.
Okay. iChat maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's messages.
iMessage.
I believe the I is gone as well. Then
I'm so lost in 10 years ago. I feel, should I even be on this podcast?
Right. Then like I said, on the other side, I have StreamYard as really 2/3 of my monitor, nice and large. And then I keep a Finder window that is open to downloads. And that's simply because anything I download in Downey or a picture I download is right there and easy to drag into StreamYard.
You can grab it, yeah.
And then I have in the top left, where on my monitor here it says devices sleeping, is my controller for my camera. So,
okay.
So you can see the camera is right above the monitor. It's hard to see there because it's pointed down at the time.
Is it red?
It is black.
Black, okay.
Black, dead center. Well,
I see it. Yeah, I see it.
It's dead center of where my StreamYard window normally is. That's why it is off center. It is off center because where I sit at my desk is off center.
Okay, makes sense.
And I want it center of StreamYard so it looks like I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm. And you are.
But that controller, it's a PTZ camera. So kind of like Mike, not only can I zoom in and out, but I can also just go anywhere with it.
You're showing off now.
I am showing off a little bit.
I see. If I want to zoom in on my camera, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Or if I want to go to the left, I can do this, or right.
I'm glad you just didn't do this.
No, too heavy. It's very heavy. Yeah, you see, I use the camera that's built into my iMac, or maybe now it's just a Mac.
Right.
Because we actually tried external cameras for me that could do the zooming and the lefting and the righting, but the lighting would never agree with it. Maybe it's I'm like part vampire. The camera could never make me the color I am in real life. So I've just used this preset one in the Mac, and it actually has served us very well. I like it.
It looks great. And do you use like ring lights or anything?
I have one ring light, one actually sort of what is like an ambiance light where you can adjust the color and the temperature of the light. And I use that as sort of a diffuse light, then one proper light bulb, and then the lights in the room. I mean, I'd make no mistake. This is my studio, but it's not studio. It's still just my basement.
Well, exactly. This is my office, but it's just an open room in the house.
But with the combination of the 4 light sources, it actually works pretty well. And I do have a lamp behind me that if I light it, it shows my junk better. Not my junk, but my things behind me. Please don't take that out of context. All the things on my shelves, it really makes them pop, but it also makes me look like powder. So we don't use that anymore.
You know what you might want to try on that backlight?
What's that?
Is some of those color strip lights. Just
well,
to add some
add
accents back there.
It's almost time for Christmas. You know, I always decorate
right.
for Christmas.
Will do it.
So we got that to go.
I say that because I have a ring light over there to the left of my monitor.
Yeah.
But I never turn it on.
Really?
Because that's it off. It's on. I don't think it helps.
It definitely helps.
It just makes me shiny.
Well, mine, I'm much older than you, so I'm not shiny anymore. But my ring light, when I set it to a warm color, it almost lights up like orangish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then if I just offset it a little bit, it works. But the best way I've found to do lighting is to get your lights what you can afford and then just experiment. And sometimes more light is worse. Sometimes you want to scale it back.
Yeah, and the ring light's there because on my last camera, I did use it.
Okay.
But I now use, and I guess I should say, since we're doing behind the scenes, I use a camera called OBS Bot.
Okay. Is that a mid-priced or is that a real high line? What is that?
I think it was like $130.
Which is pretty much
Which is a mini
standard.
4K. It's pretty standard for a 4K and PTC. I'm very impressed with it. I recommend it. All right. Now,
and as I said, mine is just built into to my computer, but I am going at a full 1080 HD. So our video looks pretty darn good, I think, for a podcast. So
I think so. Okay. And then for microphone, I used the Shure SM7B.
And that's the one that is digital,
this is the
right?
TMOS Special, yes.
Or is it a proper 7 or is it the digital one?
Nope, this is the 7B. This is the proper one.
Okay, because you had a digital one when we started.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll share my travel kit with you, and the travel kit is where the digital one has gone.
Okay, very cool. All right. My setup is not as complicated as Josh's. For all those notes apps and stuff that he has, I have, and I've given grief about it before, my yellow pad. Where it has all the information for the show that I need in front of me. It has the show number, the date, the commercials that we're going to run and the order they're going to run. Also, any sort of, I have notes for the times that the spots run, notes for the time of what happened during the show, and also anything that needs to be edited. Josh gives me a hard time because every day I have to prepare the yellow pad, but for my brain, it works. And I think that you'll agree, even though we give each other grief about stuff, when you want to do something like this and, put down thousands and thousands of episodes, if you have a system that is comfortable for you and if it doesn't drag anyone else down, stick with it because it becomes part of how you do the show. And let's see, also on my desk, we've referred to the air as the Therm Pro. I've had this timer forever, and it's great. You can turn the beeping off. Mike never does. In front of me, and we can go to the picture right now. Thank you, Josh. I have 2 iPads that have a program on them called Soundboard that you cannot buy anymore, which is sad. That's why I never update my iPads because the big thing about this is
that's why I had to find a new program. That's what I used to use as well.
I can airdrop anything in my computer instantly to the iPad. And I know that to you, that sounds like, well, of course, Rob, you can airdrop anything forever. But when you're moving audio, it's a whole different thing. And it used to be a matter of syncing, and that would take forever, and it wouldn't be always accurate. So being able to airdrop from the computer into the iPad is great because any editing for any pieces I do for the show are going to live in my computer. You can see ahead of me, I've got a standard, I think it's a 27-inch iMac. It's about 4 years old. It's fantastic. It's rock solid. Under it, I have my CD players for if I ever do Robb Radio. They are not currently in the board, but a simple modification makes it available to the board. I also keep here what is built by Marantz, and it's an ancient piece of technology that I do love, is a Marantz portable recorder that can take line level, it can take mic level, it can do wave recordings, it can do MP3 recordings, anything you want. If I pull audio from television or any sort of source, I record it into here, and then it comes over and works on my computer as an external drive, and I can just drag it in. But with the amount of music I've converted from even LPs, I'm in the project right now, in process right now of converting a LP that's out of print for a friend. What I did is I played it on my record player, phonograph, recorded it on the Marantz, and then brought it over and dragged all the files into my computer where I can shine them up and everything. But it's the same process for anything. And it's a great way to move audio. Other people have different methods, I know, but this is, for the amount of sources that I have to consult, this is really effective for it.
I like that. I like that Marantz piece.
It's great.
It's a good time to show. I've got a similar piece, but I use the Zoom PodTrack P4.
Okay, so that's like 10 years more advanced than mine.
Yeah, it's a little more modern, and it runs off a couple AA batteries or USB power. But what I like about it is it's got a USB interface. So this is my travel mixer. It's got 4 microphone inputs.
So wild.
It's got 4 headphone outputs.
Uh-huh.
It can play 4 sound effects. So like show intro, show closing.
You preload all that stuff.
Preload all that on it, and then it records everyone's tracks individually on an SD card. And then it's a USB interface with the computer. So when I travel, like this week, I'm going to go to the Outer Banks and do the Michael Mayer show from there next week.
Right.
And I'll be using this. And this is what I used when I did the show from the airport. I use this.
That's so good. If you had come to me like 30 years ago, and I was watching our engineer Daryl pack a cart player, a cart machine, a machine to play cartridges into a checked suitcase to do a remote broadcast, and you show me that, I would say that you're crazy. That'll never exist. No, but all the technology is there, and it's small, and it's so reliable now. That's the thing.
And we'll talk about the Rodecaster because we both love it. Mm-hmm. This thing was like $120.
They're giving it away.
If you want to start a podcast with multiple people in your room, I recommend this thing because it's just basic.
The whole fact that it has 4 headphone amps, I know I've spent more than $120 on a headphone amp before.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it does it for you. So tell me about, now that you said it, talk about the Rodecaster 2, which is the board we use.
Yeah, I will. Well, I'll show you. I use the MV7.
Oh, this is your travel kit.
This is part of the, since I just pulled it out of travel, which does direct USB. If you're recording a podcast just by yourself, you can do USB out, headphone out, and just interface.
It can go into the board just as an XLR, as an unpowered mic, right?
Yep, it can go into the board as an XLR, or it can go straight into your computer. I still go through this. Really just because I like the physical knobs and controls versus this.
It gives you more flexibility, and all of these audio things can be set in the most basic of programs where the computer rides the level and the volume for you. In reality, that always works against you. Don't ever do that, because anything that it fixes you could do in post, and it's going to mess stuff up when it's looking for sound. I love on a video on one of the socials like TikTok or Instagram, when there's a quiet part in someone's video and you just hear background noise build up because it's looking for audio.
It's looking for it.
Yeah. And so, you can use it. I don't recommend it. That gives you that flexibility.
I keep it all in this big medical travel case.
Yeah. And you always claim to be a doctor, don't you?
Well, it was red. It was red, and it had a paramedic, little medical flag on it, and I had to rip off and put on a Maryland flag.
I love it.
Because I didn't want someone to be think it's a first aid kit, and it's a bunch of, then they open up the bag, and it's just XLRs and microphones.
Yeah, can you hold this mic screen to my bleeding wound?
Exactly.
And the way it is now, your only approach now if sick people from Maryland need help. Because
right, because the Maryland flag, they'll stay away from that, be like, oh, no one comes out of Maryland as a doctor.
Exactly.
So I carry that around. I keep 5 or 6 XLRs in there because I never trust.
They go bad.
if I travel, I never take one of a type of wire. I take multiples because I never trust them.
Yeah.
And then I keep some cheap microphones in there, some SM58s for if I'm doing a podcast with other people.
People should know that an SM58 is your standard Mick Jagger rock and roll microphone.
Yes.
With the dented round tip on it. It's a great microphone. You can usually get them for about $100 used. And if you need a starting mic, it's one of the best you can buy. I highly love them.
It's a great mic. But I will say there's cheaper ones available that work fine.
That's true.
But if you want something that you can chuck down 6 flights of stairs and plug it in at the bottom and it'll still work.
Yeah.
I've never had a mic that solid.
Yeah, it is. And the sound reproduction is great. As a matter of fact, the Shure company has moved. Here it is. Sorry. Oh, I dropped my Elvis lighters. This classic microphone that the Shure company still makes, the 55. I think you can get it on our most current T-shirt. The guts in this are now identical to the 58. So you get really great fidelity out of this as well. But it's a good microphone too. So.
And if you ever see a performer in concert and they say they're not using an SM58, it's because they're using an SM58 beta, which is the same exact thing.
Exactly. And
just tuned a little different.
If you look at they always have a dented windscreen because they always get dropped. Yes. So you'll want to have a sponge cover for it as well. That'll take care of your popping of your peas. So, but I do love that microphone. My microphone is an Electro Voice RE27, which is a lot like an RE20, but newer. This is actually, its genealogy is the Electro Voice 666. Sorry if you are a God-fearing person, but that was the serial number on it. It's a nice, round-sounding, good for low end. In real life, as you know, Josh, I have the voice of a ballerina. But with this, I almost sound like a real man. It's a wonderful mic. I've got dozens of mics, of course. But if you want to make a nice step up, this is a good one. It's also known as a cardioid pattern. And you'll see sometimes on a microphone like a heart-shaped sort of logo. That means it's going to pick up the sound like right in front of you and sort of to the left and right. It's not an omnidirectional. And it's probably the best setting for doing a podcast. Yeah. That's the mic I use. I also, I've showed you the iPads, the board.
Let's talk about the Rodecaster.
I love it. I adore it. It is one of the greatest things. And you talked me into it months ago.
Yeah. In my picture, you can see it here over to the right with my headphones thrown on top. I will mention my headphones. If you're looking for a nice pair of in-ear monitors, Mike O'Mara and I use the same ones. They cost.
You have to share them, don't you?
Yeah, we mail them back and forth to each other. But they're little basic ones, and they cost $19 on Amazon.
Do you know the brand offhand?
Yeah, it's some Chinese brand. I can't pronounce it, but I can send you the link. Okay. And I would not recommend them for listening to music, but for doing the podcast, they're perfect. I don't use them like as my day to day. Oh, I'm listening to podcasts and I want these. But for this, it works.
It's funny when you bring that up. I use Sony 7506s, and you've seen them everywhere. They're very sort of standard of the industry. Studio monitors. I've tried many other headphones. I end up going back to Sony because of the crisp middle and upper end. You can buy really nice headphones. Like, for example, Dr. Dre makes headphones called Beats, Josh. Yes. And they're great for music, but there's so much bass in them that if you use them when you're on the production end of a project, you're going to hear a lot of, and you don't want that. You want to focus on what's sort of top end and the crisp part. And that's why these are great. If I'm doing some
deep editing, if I'm editing some music or some sound effects or something where I really want to hear it clear, I do have these Sennheisers I like a lot.
Okay.
They're very nice, but they're overkill for a podcast, and I don't want the big things on my head when I'm doing video.
On my head, they don't look so big. Do you have any external speakers in your studio?
I do. I have a pair of Presonus speakers. You can see them to the left and the right. They are powered. I don't know what I think they're IQ6s or 4s. No, these are small. I think they're IQ4s if I remember correctly. And
do you like them? Okay.
I do.
I actually had these, went away from them, and came back. I use Alesis M1 Actives 520 USB speakers. It's a pair of stereo speakers. They're basically bookshelf size. They have amazing bass response, but one thing about them is they have the best center imaging I've ever heard on speakers. So when you're doing that, meaning that if I were to sit at my computer and listen to music, it appears that the vocalist usually is coming out dead center, even though there's no center speaker there. They just play really well with each other. They run off USB connections, and I highly recommend them.
Yeah, that's
enough that I came back to them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a standard studio speaker. You'll see it in many studios. I went with these because at the time I was mixing a lot of live sound using Presonus, and I like the way that board sounds. I like the way their powered speakers sound, so I got a pair, and they sound good.
Yeah,
I'm happy with them.
I have speakers in my house that are literally 50 years old. Speakers carefully cared for will last you a lifetime. So I would say if you're setting up a studio where you're going to be doing a lot of listening, you can skimp on things. Don't skimp on your speakers. As they say, pay full price, but wait till it's on sale, because that's a big part of what you're going to hear.
Yes. Yeah. Especially if you want to do music.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do music for the show, not as much as I used to, but the music is, I think, a pretty big part of the program we do. So with the Rodecaster that you recommend, I get.
You and I both use the Rodecaster Pro 2.
Yeah.
And we've got Mike now using the Rodecaster Duo, which is really a smaller version of the board.
I used to have a Mackie 12-channel board, which was great. Really fine. I was able to figure out how to use it for return audio so I could do the podcast from multiple locations, but it just lacked the flexibility. And frankly, it didn't sound quite as bright as this. When I started using this board, right away I heard a difference in everything that we did. Besides, if you have this, you can use this music bed. It's included with the Rodecaster.
That's the built-in?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's also fun because it's where what's been fun with moving Mike to the Rodecaster is being able to go with the sound, with the voice changers built in.
I love it
he can
because
just do this in one button press.
He never was able to find a voice simulator, an outside piece that he liked.
Yes.
And this one is so simple and built right in. And you can alter it too. I mean, when you were first starting with us and we were disguising your voice as a gimmick, you you just put that in and set it up. But if you can go in, you can make that not as low. You can take the echo off. You can add more echo. You can make your voice high, low, anything you want. Beautiful reverb on it if you ever wanted to sing.
Decent megaphone. Very high pitch.
That's true. But it is, I will say that part of my love of the Rodecaster is it's really fun to play with. If you get a Mackie board, there's very little you can do except just talk into it. There's a lot of toys on this. Rode makes great products. The other thing about the Rodecaster that we love is it takes a micro SD card. We can record backup of the show every day.
I do every day. That's my rhythm. When the 60-second countdown's going on, right when it hits 0 is when I hit record on the Rodecaster.
Nice big green button. You can't miss it. And we've never had to use it, the backup, but it's great to know it's there.
Yes.
So
many times I forget to stop it at the end of the show, and I'll come in the next day and it'll either still be recording, or it'll say you recorded 3 days straight and you're fine.
Do you ever check it to see if there's like ghosts or goblins in your studio when you're not there?
I don't want to know that.
Okay, so you just erase it. Cool.
No, I just erase it. I erase it during that countdown and hit record again.
As far as the iPads for sound effects, I'm in the process right now of replacing one of the iPads with a MacBook that'll have my entire music library on it. Again, I'm not big on change, but it'll be a great addition to be able to have faster access to that kind of sounds, those kind of sounds.
And I'll tell you, you mentioned that old soundboard app.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I have not found a great replacement for it on the iPad. There's apps that work, but there's nothing great and perfect out there for the iPad. If you want to do sound effects from your computer, there's a program called Farrago, Farrago.
And since Mike is not here, I will just say that if Jack Kent Cook from the Washington Redskins had that program, it would be Farrago. Thank you.
And it works good. It lets you cue things up. It lets you do the same airdrop that you do currently on the iPad, but it also lets you drag them out. Just
Love
nice.
it. I won't even mention the soundboard app I have in there now because it's so clunky. I don't recommend it, but I can use it. Yes. It's sad that the one doesn't exist for the iPad anymore because that really was a really fine piece of work.
It was interesting because it was not only was it a good software, it was the first soundboard app made for the iPad.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it disappeared, but it did.
And no updates exist for it or anything. But it also plays really well with iTunes. I mean,
yes,
I'm hate to tell you something that doesn't exist anymore, but it's very, very solid. Speaking of sounds, I'd like to talk to you about some of the stuff that I do as far as gathering sounds for the show once we get ready.
Great.
We all watch the same news and everything. So if I know there's a topic that Mike is going to launch on, I try to have something ready to go. Or sometimes I'm assigned things. This week, I was assigned stagers for the Super Chats, and I was able to produce those and had a lot of fun with it. And I can usually tell while I'm doing them if they're going to be fun or just adequate. And a lot of my stuff is just adequate, and sometimes not even that. But the soundboard stuff was so fun to do because it builds. For the small Super Chat, it was just one sound, and then it was ridiculous by the time it got up to the $100 Super Chat. And I knew when I played it to Josh that they were exciting and fun. I've been collecting audio since, pre-high school.
How do you organize your audio? Is it through iTunes or you keep a separate file?
I have everything in iTunes, and that's my primary go-to. And there are so many computer people that hate iTunes, but I love it because of the search engine availability.
Yeah.
It is so fast to find something if you need it. Not just, it's always top of mind.
Well, I guess it's Apple Music now, but
it is
same thing.
But if I were to search Paul McCartney, it would not only bring up all the Beatles songs, but it would bring songs that Paul wrote for other artists and things like that. So if you can remember even just a small aspect of a clip or a song that you want to find, it can help you find it. I started collecting audio on cassette. I would record off the radio. I recorded jingles off the radio. I still have all of those cassettes. I still have a working cassette player, but most of the important stuff I've digitized using that Marantz that we talked about earlier.
When you build a stager like that, like the Super Chat with multiple sound effects, are you putting that together in Audition? Is that the software you're using?
And I use a multi-track approach to it. What I'll do is I'll find all the elements that I'm hearing in my head and drag them into Adobe. And then I go into the multi-track and just sort of move them around until I find something I like. And that's very different from when I started. If we wanted to do something like that on, say, believe it or not, an ancient 4-track tape machine, you would have to add them all live as the tape was rolling. There's no moving them around once they're in there. So I love working on a digital multi-track because I've had to produce things on a 4-track before that would actually involve carting up sound effects or having sound effects ready to go on a CD player because they had to be laid in live. It's now such a pleasure to do something like those sounders because the $100 one has probably 60 elements in it, and it's just fun to move them around. So yeah, that's how I do for that.
And I do the same thing. I use Audition when I need to layer sounds like that, or I'll use I've used Final Cut for 25 years for video work. Mm-hmm. So I end up going back to Final Cut just because I can do things faster. But I like Premiere as well. I did load up. Would you like to see? I had to make a image in for Chad for the Chad Duke show.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Would you like to see some sound effects and video come together?
I would love to see it.
Chad Duke interviews Luke Spark, director of Primitive War. Available on demand now.
It's great.
And I think it's a good example because it's showing layers of, I had to come up with backgrounds that moved. And there's a T-Rex dinosaur walking in there, but that thing had no sound. So I had to find other sounds to match that. And it's good layering. And the what's fun on that is music.
Yeah.
Because what has messed up, all that we talk about, everything fun about the internet and digital, but what it has ruined is the ability to use music without getting flagged and copyrights.
Exactly.
So I have a new gimmick for when I need music.
What's that?
AI.
Really?
I go into Suno and I say, make an instrumental sound with like a guitar riff or something.
Could you cite, for example, if you wanted to, could you go into, it's called Suno?
I think it's called Suno, yes.
If you went into this app, could you say, I need a guitar piece that sounds like Blue Oyster Cult's,
Not with this one, no, but if you can describe the sound you're going for, like here, I wanted the charging guitars. So I wanted the guitars to kind of increase as it went. And I explained that and made that in AI. So then I can import it in and it's not going to get flagged as I'm using a Metallica song or something.
And you've used it in brief spurts like that. It absolutely works. It didn't occur to me that was AI music. It sounded
exactly.
Real
I wouldn't use it for a full song. I know there's people that are doing that. I don't have the time for that.
Your
but for
video,
this, it's easy.
Your video, speaking of the audio and the video that goes with it, your video work is so fun. And I love when we get to collaborate. I think back to when we were promoting the cruise or Las Vegas, when I would put together an audio spot and send it to you and you would make video for it. And it was so fun to see it come back in a different format. Do you like editing against sound or do you prefer to do the video and then make the sound go to it?
Oh, that's a good question. I like, which one do I do first? I think more naturally, I like having the empty video and then add in sound.
Okay. All right.
But they got to go side by side because at the same point, sometimes the sound, I like to go by sound first and then make the video because the video, you can match things better. Right. But the sound normally has the timing better and the rhythm and the feel of the video. I can get much better off the sound than visually.
I think we agree on that. I'm pure audio. And a lot of times, I mean, I've done video projects too, but when I'm putting something together like that, I won't proceed with it without closing my eyes and just listening to it.
Yeah.
And making sure it has the momentum and it conveys the message I want. I know that the video can emphasize what I'm doing, but I do think you're right that the tempo is sent by the audio.
Set. It's why when I do like the middle school videos every June, I start with the song and I lay the music down. And then because that sets the tempo of the video because people are going to get bored.
Exactly.
If you don't, and the audio, whether it's a commercial for the cruise or whatever, the audio sets that tempo and foundation. I totally agree.
And I think it's one of when you get audio and video to come together, it's a blast. Go back, folks, and Google our initial open for the Mike O'Mara Show Love Boat, where you aped every element of the original Love Boat open. You were able to find the graphics and the credits and the
I don't know if we talked about. You know how I did that? Is I traced it. I put the Love Boat intro into probably Final Cut.
Okay.
And then I put the opacity pretty low. And I traced it like you would as a kid if you put a drawing on a piece of paper and put a light underneath it.
Yeah.
And trace it. And I did that. So that way, that's how I got the timing to match.
That's
because
so
I
cool.
wanted everything to flow just like the original movie.
When I've constructed audio or something that involves the matching of sounds, I will sometimes do the equivalent of like a click track, on one track where you can find the tempo and make sure they match up precisely. Then I'm sure as you lost the very lightly opaque version of the Love Boat for the final cut, you just take the click track out and what remains is what you've done.
Exactly.
Do you still see podcasting, and I know it's almost a dirty word now, do you still see it as primarily an audio medium?
I always, yes, okay. I do. Now, there's a few shows I watch that I have started moving more towards the YouTube.
Okay.
But there are also ones where it's like, I don't think I've naturally moved to, I need to watch this on video, but it's more of, I know like, oh, it's live at this time. And I wish we could do audio only live streams.
Yeah.
I wish you could go to MikeO'MaraShow.com and the audio is just playing live. There's sites that do it. It's not good. It's compressed. It doesn't sound good. YouTube sounds good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess we could do just the logo and audio, but I prefer podcasts as audio only.
It's taken a long time for me to get accustomed to the video portion of it. And even when we do beautiful video or run a clip during the show, I try to be as sensitive as possible to know that if there's anyone out there that's listening just audio, we want to convey what we're showing at the very least. Because I come from an audio background, it's hard to think like that sometimes. But I do think of it as an audio thing. I think that if it doesn't play, my test to myself is if it doesn't play listening in a car when you're driving, you're not really accomplishing what you're setting out to do.
That's exactly like when I worked in recording studios. And if I thought the mix was good, I burn it to a CD, go out to the car and drive around the block.
I was told by a very smart production guy that before you put anything on the air, listen to it on the worst speaker you can find. And if it still sounds good on a bad speaker, We had a speaker at WJFK in the second production room that was an old mount-in-the-ceiling PA speaker. Horrible.
Right.
Horrible. But if you ran production through it and it sounded right, you knew it was going to sound great on an $8,000 system.
Yeah. And at the same time sound good in the doctor's office with the horrible speakers.
Precisely. As George Martin, the Beatles producer, once said, if you have to turn it up to make it sound good, it doesn't sound good.
And I think that means even more now because most of the speakers people listen to things on are crappy little Bluetooth speakers.
Yeah, it goes back to when in the 1960s when people primarily were listening to music on transistor radios and single crappy speakers in cars. You could get away with a lot of things,
right?
And you had to sort of cater to that. And then FM radio and the car systems got better and better and better and better, and they started to play into that. But we got to know your destination. If you're going for earbuds, you don't need big explosive sounds.
Right.
You just need fidelity.
And I think, we'll get back to audio in a moment, but I think a good example of that was we lived through the transition of regular television to 4K television.
Yeah.
And there was this weird spot where I believe it was Spider-Man 1 or 2 came out, and there was a scene in there where he gets thrown into a pile of bricks.
Yeah.
And it looked good in the movie theater. You watched it at home at 4K and it's like, oh, those are foam bricks.
Yeah.
And I remember watching, I think it was like 8 Rules for Dating My Daughter or something, an ABC show. And there was a scene climbing a tree that looked so fake because they haven't caught up with 4K, where the cameras were ahead of the set design.
Yeah. Everybody Loves Raymond. CBS was one of they really spearheaded high def at the time. When was that? Like 98, maybe?
Late 90s, early 2000, yeah.
And I loved Everybody Loves Raymond at that point. And when I'd watch it in high definition, you could see how ugly the set was. I mean, the colors were garish.
Right.
Everything was over the top that looked fine in standard definition. So you have to be aware of that when you're even in an audio
Isn't that crazy that 4K was 25 years ago? Or not 4K, HD.
That
HD
is
was
crazy.
25 years ago.
My TV had a weird thing where it could pick up HBO high def before the cable company was providing it. It was like a weird break in the matrix.
Yeah, because it was on one of those sub channels.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I think about us doing video versus audio, there's an intimacy of audio and that you hit on podcasts that we had growing up with talk radio, where you felt like you knew everyone, you knew the host, you knew everything, even though you didn't really know them. And I feel like you lose that on YouTube.
I do too. And it's not just music talk shows that would do that. Even music shows would be more intimate. You would feel, if you had a favorite disc jockey, a boss jock, you could feel that they were talking to you and not with you. And it's hard to explain, but
but it's like what's her name that would do the nighttime show? The love letters.
I know who you mean. I can't think of her
But
name.
it was the same thing where people would listen to that all the time because she spoke soft and put me to sleep. So you were pulled into it. And I felt that's how listening to Don and Mike and Ron and Fez and Big O and Dukes growing up, I felt like I knew them all, even though I'd never met them.
When I would listen to the Don and Mike show before I was part of it, which is a weird thing to even think about, I would wake up to them on my alarm in the morning. And I was then, as now, a big guy for hitting the snooze button. But it was very common for that. I don't know, I should talk to my counselor about this. When the show would come on, I would still be half asleep. And I would imagine I was in the show with them because I felt so comfortable as part of the interplay that I would be dreaming of like a room that we were all in. And I wasn't saying anything, but I was there.
That means so much more to me now that I just finished Rosemary's Baby this morning. And she goes into those weird dream sequences.
Exactly. But maybe it was some predestination or maybe it was a stalker vibe going on. But yeah, there is an intimacy and the theater of the mind notion of things being bigger than they are. I don't know if you ever had the experience of walking into like your first major market radio station when you're a youngster and being absolutely heartbroken because it's not what you pictured. It's horrible. For
me, I remember I was starting to build a little bit of a relationship with Chad and Oscar.
Right.
And I went to an Orioles game in Washington because they were playing the Nats. And Chad was broadcasting from the Nats game. So I said, I'll stop by and say hi. and he was in like a hot dog booth size thing on the out in left field.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, radio is not magical.
It's not magical at all until you listen to it. I mean,
Yes.
If you ever can find an old clip of Don and Mike on the Morning Zoo, one thing they had was this amazing reverb plate that they made it sound like they were broadcasting in the biggest theater in the world. And the sounds were layered. And it was fun about them as they grew to be a talk show with a top 40 mentality. So there was a lot of forward momentum and exciting stuff going on. And it sounded huge. And then when you saw how it happened, it wasn't that huge. But I think we still try to convey that to a certain extent with the podcast, the Mike O'Mara Show podcast, is making it sound bigger than it actually is, especially if Mike is doing a creative bit, a voice bit or something like that, and we layer sound effects or music with it. It makes all the difference.
And I'll tell you, that's what really sucks on YouTube is I remember listening to Mike on the radio, and he would roll into these voices and you could picture the person.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
That's way better than seeing Mike with his hand up and all, what he takes to make the sound. But
it's still fun. I wouldn't change it for anything.
No, but I might close my eyes a little bit.
Yeah, not while you're driving. Back to sound, sources of sound, and I'll show some more pictures here. This is my primary setup where I have everyone should have 3 record players in their basement, but this is 2 of them. And this, of course, CD player and a cassette deck. And this is where I can pull just about any audio I need from old sources into a digital format that I can move to the computer. Here on this wall, these are all compact discs and DVDs and Blu-rays that I can access at a moment's notice if I need them. Of course, everything's available on YouTube now, but a lot of times you'll find a clip that isn't exactly what you need.
Right.
And you need to go, to the proper source. And then here are pictures of my albums, which I'll never get all the way through, and thousands of 45 RPM records that still need to be cataloged. But there are just times when you need to have this backlog of audio. For example, there are instances when I need a record to sound scratchy on the show because it's a scratchy record. Easy to put a scratch sound effect over it, or just go grab the record and it's already there. So I love playing with that. And I'm a guy that loves music for the past 100 years. So I've got it all. And it's fun to know that I have access to it. Most of the stuff that I need, I already have at my fingertips. But if I need to make a deep dive, for example, on yesterday's show, Mike requested some Jackie Gleason music, which is a very specific sort of syrupy violin-laden music that comedian Jackie Gleason recorded in the 60s. I had 3 or 4 songs in my library, but I've also got 10 Jackie Gleason albums. So if I need more, I can go grab it. And a lot of that stuff you're not going to find on iTunes or anywhere like that. So again, I've been collecting my entire life, and a lot of my friends say, it's amazing that you ended up doing what you've been doing your whole life. I said, what? They said, don't you remember in high school, we'd be ready to go out and you say, just 1 second, I want to play you one more thing. And I said, I guess I was that. And they said, well, yeah, you've been playing one more thing for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So it actually, I guess I landed in the right place.
You did. You did. And that's where I think some people complain and say, oh, well, it doesn't sound like anyone does any prep work for the show. And there's a lot of work done around the show, but we also like to keep it natural, which is why we very rarely text or chat privately off the show. Instead, we'll just say into the mic, hey, you're popping, because we want to keep it honest to the listener, because we want you to feel like you are in the room, even if that means we're screwing up. Yeah,
you're part of it. You're absolutely part of it. And I love the element of surprise on the show too. Like you and I, we can have the meeting with Mike right before we go, but we don't know how he's going to come out of the gate every day. And that's always fun. It's like you're ready to see how to react to that or what you're going to need. But again, you can sort of plan ahead. This week, I know Mike was very excited about what's the guy Jackson on the Giants.
Yeah, Jackson Dart.
Yeah, Jackson Dart. So I knew he'd talk about it, and I had queued up the song Jackson because I knew that he would talk about it. And it's fun to have something like that to go to. Or a weird musical reference, Mike talking about his bad motel and playing music from Psycho.
Right.
I love it because on the very surface, if you're listening to it, it sounds eerie. It sounds like, he's in a haunted hotel. But if you know that it's actually going deep enough that this is the hotel music from the movie Psycho, if that lands on a couple ears, they're going to really appreciate it. And that's what I hope for.
Yeah.
So even when I go obscure, I do go obscure, but never for nobody. I hope they catch it.
And Mike doesn't give us a heads up. We get to notice right 5 minutes before the show about what he wants to talk about. Every now and then he will email or text me a image or a video, and what I do every single time is I download it and don't even look.
Yeah,
because I want that natural surprise, just like the listener. It's also secretly part of why I like the 60-second countdown.
Yeah,
because no matter how that meeting goes with Mike pre-show for 2-3 minutes,
right,
he then has to sit there alone for a minute.
Yeah.
And really a minute and a half with the show intro. But I know there's something that's going to get him in the head. And it's kind of like this week where it was the super chats. He gave us no attention ahead of time to the super chats.
No.
He came up with that during that 60-second. And that always makes it an exciting opening to the show.
If you think of the best conversations you've ever had with your friends in real life, they're not planned out. They're very organic, and you don't know what direction they're going to go. And that's one of the best things about the O'Mara Show podcast. I think also the fact, if you're planning a show with co-hosts, remember to be generous with your time. Mike doesn't take the lead on every segment. He loves when you and I bring stuff to the show. Yes. And he likes to react as well. He's the best storyteller ever, but he's also a great laugher and a great listener, and he loves when a story is told. So make sure that if you're in a podcast with other people, one of my recommendations is capitalize on what they can offer. If they have a story, let them tell it. And if they have a talent, let them show it. You're going to the podcast will end up looking better in the long run, and everyone on the show is going to look better in the long run.
Right.
My thought.
Now I'll tell you, Rob, as you're preparing last week, you were preparing because you knew how Mike was going to come in. The Red Sox did blow it last night and get knocked out of the playoffs.
Oh,
so maybe prepare some sad music for Monday.
Yeah. Well, I have, and immediately I've got my mind programmed from years and years and years. I've got a sad version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I will have sound effects of someone crying. I'll probably find some sound effects of very rude New Yorkers that he will like. Just things that I know that, that need to land on that day.
I've got that for Section 336. Where we have a clip of the Everything is Awesome from the Lego movie. When it's going really well. And then we've got the sad version, Everything is Horrible, for when it's bad. So same thing. We're always prepared, win or lose, like that.
And I've got, whatever, maybe 100 sound effects queued up ready to go at all times that, are the fast access ones, and then more that you can grab. And there's things that I just love playing. Sounds that I really enjoy, and you'll get some of that on the show too, like the jingle going into Beautiful Video every day. I play a different radio jingle from the past because I've been collecting them for 40 years, and Mike just lets it go. He's no big fan of it, but he knows that that's a little something extra that we can bring to the table. If you're listening, if it's a podcast that you're listening, keep your audio texture rich. There's a lot of things you can throw in there to make it more compelling to your ears.
Yeah, you don't want silence.
Exactly.
Keep it moving.
Exactly.
But we've passed an hour, so I want to kind of wrap this up.
Have we really?
We have. You and I lose track of time regularly on here. Okay, we've had no breaks. I'm sorry that the commercials were randomly put into mid-conversation because we didn't plan it out.
But this is a bonus. It won't have commercials.
Oh, you're right. No commercials.
It's commercial-free Friday. I do want to show one pic. These are...
I want to go through... I've got a few things to quickly go over, too. So let's...
I'll go real quick. Okay, this is my jukebox. It doesn't play well on the air, but it is a great source of musical reminding to me every day that I need to listen to music and have it be a part of the show. These are my albums. There's many, many feet of them, and oftentimes they will be consulted for the show. This is my this is my little record player. This is my portable record player. And this is the record player my father bought when I was born. So yeah, my sound is from everywhere. My house is full of sound. And I try to sort of bring that in. The more sound I can bring to the show that isn't us talking, I think it makes the show as good as it can be. I love that. It's the topping. It's the cherry on top is the extra sound. Because the show is primarily us talking, but the extra sound is, I think, the shine. That's what I love to do.
Yeah. And I just wanted to share, as we're closing, some extra little software things I'll use on occasion. Mm-hmm. If you want to get started with video editing, check out CapCut. It's free, works great. On the audio side, Adobe Podcast, they call it now, does a great job cleaning up bad audio.
Yes.
You have to play with it so you don't sound like AI voice.
Right.
But it does a great job. I've been using the program Descript recently more than I have in the past. I still don't like it.
What is Descript?
Descript, but here's what I like about it. Descript, you drag audio in and it transcribes the audio for you. And
nice.
But wait, you can then go in and label the different voices. So I can scroll through and find the person.
Wow.
Then you can do a search for words. So I had to edit some stuff for Chad last week where one guy was just talking about something that shouldn't be on the show. We needed to clean it up. Right. So I was able to search for his voice and then search for the word and then just delete the word and it deletes the audio. It deletes it from the audio line as well.
That's so crazy.
So it lets me do some editing by text, which then affects the audio linearly.
What's great about that also, if a word gets lost because you're doing a virtual interview, and sometimes the internet just swallows it or it's mispronounced, you can use those transcripts to find other examples of literally sounds, like an ST sound.
Yeah.
You can isolate it and I call it Frankensteining together the words. But if you have a proper soundbite that is not usable, you're never totally defeated. You can always sort of rebuild it.
They've got it now with AI where I'm not happy with how it sounds yet, but it's so close.
Yeah.
Where if I say this show is brought to you by Colgate, and then next week it's brought to you by someone else, I can go in and delete Colgate and type in what I want, and AI will say the word, matching the voice of the rest of the podcast.
Does it sound like the announcer from Hicks Nick Sticks Picks? That guy?
It sounds pretty good.
I think he sounds pretty good.
He does. But I mean, this learns. It sounds like if Mike said today's show is brought to you by Colgate, and we just replaced Colgate with Crest, then it would sound like Mike says today's show is brought to you by Crest.
That's
crazy. It's all textual.
Yeah. Now you keep seeing Colgate. Is there an ad I don't know about?
No,
I thought sure you would go with Incogni.
No, I didn't. I guess I should have done Incogni, but I was trying to think of one that is not an actual sponsor of ours because we're deleting them and replacing them in my example.
Yeah, stupid Colgate. Stupid Colgate.
And then then when you're all done and you're ready to get your podcast out there for everyone to hear, we really like Red Circle. We use Red Circle. They do our ad insertions. They make it really easy to manage multiple podcasts.
Also, it is really user-friendly. I'm not a computer guy, and I was almost able, without asking you questions, how to figure out Red Circle. It's very, very intuitive. I like it a lot.
Yeah, so I recommend that. And then we use WordPress for our website, but I do not recommend that.
It's slow.
Fine.
It's very slow.
If you need a members portal, use WordPress. If you don't, there's better options.
If you have an innate urgency in your life, look elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's not the fastest website.
Yeah.
But it is pretty solid. I'll give it that.
It works.
And also, if you're thinking that it's beyond you to post to the internet, again, I'm not a tech guy. They've made it so easy. Once you produce the podcast, you can put it up in almost no time on a regular, just the computer you're using at home. It's not anything fancy or over the top.
Yeah. And I will say for merch, we use Printful a lot. Which is one of those print on demands.
Yeah.
Which print on demand costs a little bit more. You don't make as much money, but it's way better than back in the day when I'd have to have 100 different shirts in different sizes here in the room with me that I can put up. We can make a joke like Bob's Water Carnival.
Exactly.
And have it up the next day. And if it clicks with us and makes us laugh, but not you, it doesn't matter that no one sold it because we don't have this stockpile of things to get rid of. So we try to do that for T-shirts.
I'm glad Mike used to have a very narrow staircase up to his attic in his house in Manassas. And the amount of T-shirts I had to carry up there, I don't want to revisit that. So thank you for doing that. That's very important to me.
And that's why when we do live shows or whatever, we don't have T-shirts for sale most of the time.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to order them and get them and prep them and
have someone run the merch table and
then have
ship them out
leftovers.
there. Yeah, it's horrible. It's bad news. So what are we missing? Are we missing anything?
I think that's it. We've recorded. We recorded in StreamYard. We edited in Audition. We uploaded to Red Circle and WordPress. And then we use YouTube for video, but I think that's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also down on, oh, please, I love secrets. Spill the tea.
We don't just have a YouTube channel.
What?
We also have a Rumble channel that has all our shows on it.
A Rumble channel?
A Rumble channel.
I don't know what that is.
Rumble is like
you're doing stuff behind my back.
It's a YouTube competitor. That more of the when it was all like YouTube was censoring like political people.
Yeah.
The Republicans and conservatives all moved over to Rumble.
Oh, I thought it was a gaming platform.
No, no, that's Twitch.
Oh, okay.
But it's so our shows upload over there too as kind of a backup.
Does anyone view it there? Did anyone find? If you were to Google, would you find us there?
If you Google, we're there.
Oh,
but
that's
it'll
wild.
just say like the show day or whatever because I don't put any work into it. It's a backup.
Okay,
but we're over there, and every now and then, like we had a show. I don't remember something flagged YouTube where it would not play a show, and I thankfully had the Rumble backup and was able to post that on our website.
Oh, how cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, and I know folks have given us a little grief that, not grief, but they've asked, and I don't want to make it sound like it's a real big deal, but I haven't done a Rob Radio in a while because I'd love to do a video Rob Radio on YouTube, but playing full songs, we'd get flagged right away.
Right.
So it's something we have to work around. Same thing with Spotify. Spotify has given us some grief in the past. And we're really not out there to do any harm to anybody. We're just trying to have some fun, folks. And Josh is right. It makes it harder, but there are ways around it. You just have to do the best you can.
Yeah, and so I'm just looking at Rumble now, and we've got them up there. We don't get much views, but again, it's a backup that we don't tell anyone about. And
I love it.
There.
So if you wanted to, you could use Rumble. You could link the website to Rumble, and that's how they get to the video. Okay, piece of cake. And also the most important thing about doing a podcast, folks, and I've been doing this a long time and radio a long time before that, the most important thing is to have Josh. That's the most important thing you want, because Josh is not only funny and a great co-host, but really he knows all his stuff. And if you need to consult with him, you should. It might not be free, but he knows everything in the business. And if you want to launch a podcast, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you, Josh?
Just send me an email, josh@mikeomerashow.com or josh@thepodcasterswarehouse.com. By the way, Rob, we've made 12 cents on ads on Rumble.
That's fantastic.
So someone's watching.
How do we split that up?
We won't tell Mike.
I'll send you 6 cents. I was going to give Mike 5 cents. I don't know. His name is on the show.
Oh, you know what? This month we've made 28 cents. That was last month. Hey, we're doing well over on Rumble. Maybe I should start putting some effort into every episode on Rumble is titled The Mike O'Mara Show. It doesn't say the episode number. It doesn't say anything because I just have it loaded in StreamYard to just dump the show over there as a backup.
It is like a mystery. You click on it and you don't know what you get. Yeah, exactly. Or what you don't want. Well, that'll be good. And once those 28 cents starts rolling in, we will no longer be a one-car family.
No, I'm going to start putting some work into that.
Absolutely. And and we'll address that on the next episode of Podcasting Behind the Scenes. Josh, thank you for taking some time out of your Friday, your busy Friday, and doing this show.
Thank you, Rob. I hope people found this interesting and not just us talking about all this boring stuff behind the scenes. It was also a great test of the new Verizon Fios internet in Leesburg, as there was no video or audio hiccups today.
I love it. And I look forward to playing the static for Mike on Monday's show.
I can't wait. And,
all right.
Go check out Hicks Nicks Sticks Picks as well.
Please.
And find us on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, all over there.
Yeah, and don't miss Hicks Sticks Nicks 336, your favorite Orioles podcast.
Yeah, well, we'll watch the video from the 1989 Orioles.
All right, folks. Thank you so much. We'll be back on Monday. And as always, we brought to you as a service of the Mike O'Mara Show. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment.